I share greetings and goodwill to you all once again, my fellow humans, the world over. Of course, this is yours truly, I, the Mystic Philosopher. And welcome to the continuation of regardless of how long you live, you will be dead much longer. And this is part 4 from my series of talks titled 1,000+ things my mama and my grandma used to say. Now, if you have not yet watched or listened to part 1 through to part 3, I ask that you please do so in order to get a better interpretation, a better understanding, and overstanding of what I'm talking about, and of all the perspective and thought-provoking perspectives that I am sharing. So, what happened when we die? Question 1, what happened when we die? Number 2, what happened after we die? LAD, life after death. And number 3, what is life after transition? Or what is life after we transition? In other words, what is life after we cross over to the other side? What is life like after we leave here? Now, in part 3, I have, hopefully, and to your satisfaction, both answered and shared some of my thought-provoking perspectives, my observations, insights, and commentaries on question number 1, namely, what happened when we die? From that, some of you might come to the understanding, and overstanding that not because someone stops breathing, his or her heart, not because his or her heart stops pumping blood or beating, as the saying goes, and the physical body has become lifeless, and it may be buried. Body may be buried or cremated or disposed of, means that they are dead, or more correctly, that they have truly transitioned, that they have crossed over or moved on. Move on, meaning they have left the earth. For if the silver cord is not severed, and to be even more emphatic, if the silver cord is not completely severed, then the soul or the spirit is still hanging or lingering around, or will be still hanging or lingering around, and it will be still hanging and lingering around on this planet or within this sphere. Again, I ask that you please revisit part 3 and listen. In this part 4, I will address the question, what happened after we die? I ask that you please note that the operative word here in this question 1 is, or the operative word in question 1 is when, and the operative word in question 2 is after. When we die and after we die. Now, from my perspective, there are at least 2 parts and those 2 answers to this question. Part 1 is what happened on this side of reality, aka this side of life after we die. What happened on this side after we die? Meaning, what happened after we take our last breath or exhale our last breath in this physical body on this side of reality, in accordance to the system's laws or customs and tradition, is pronounced dead In accordance to the system's laws and traditions or custom, the body is pronounced dead, or our body is pronounced dead, pronounced gone, and no more to come back. What happened then? What happened when you drop dead? And part two, rather, is what happened on the other side of reality, wherever that is, when we really die, when the silver cord is completely severed, and we get there, or even while we are on our way there, or the soul or the spirit is on its way there. There, yes, somewhere. And please let me remind you that one is not really dead if the silver cord is not severed. For example, a kite is not free to float away, nor is a helium balloon free to disappear into the skies and into space if it is still connected by a string, or if it is entangled by anything or something, or by someone on the earth. And the same is true, or the same analogy can be used for our spirit or for our soul. And for your information, that is just one of the reasons why those that are in the know don't give or take blood or any other organs, or the human or whatever organs, because they know, they understand, and they overstand that as long as their blood or as long as their organs are still alive, they can't move on. But that is a whole new and possible, for some people, a controversial topic all by itself. So let's leave that for now. If it is in any way still, if the spirit or the soul is anyway still connected to anything or anyone on the earth, after one has breathed his or her last breath, it cannot move on. It cannot travel. It cannot continue on its voyage. And thus it can become trapped. It can become lost. It can become confused. It can be captured. Yes. It can be enslaved. That's all. It can be haunted, imprisoned. It can become restless. I mentioned that in part 3. Rootless and restless on the planet. And as I have mentioned previously, that some people are attached. Some people are connected to their fame, so connected or attached to their fame, their power, their material wealth and possessions, etc. And they can't let go. In fact, some are so attached that they can't even die physically. A lot of hey, let me not. Some can't even die physically because of the way they are so attached. Yes, to their material things, to their power, to their fame, to their status, to their possessions. And thus, they turn into a pillar of salt here. Yeah. If you know or come to the awareness of the amount of lump of salt, or if you prefer, the amount of pillar of salt that we walk past every day, or we see on TV, or we encounter, it might even scare you. So maybe in this case, ignorance is bliss. But again, we'll talk about that at another time, hopefully. For your information, the pillar of salt story, or analogy, or allegory that is given or mentioned in the Adamic Race History and Holy Book. Yes, the Adamic Race History and Holy Book, that is commonly known as the Christian Holy Bible, has both a deep practical and a metaphysical meaning. And most people who read it or heard of it might not even begin to understand, let alone overstand what it is saying. For example, practically, it is both telling and showing those whose eyes who have eyes to see and ears to hear and a mind to understand and understand and overstand, that there are some people among us that are literally pillar of salt. So they are stuck here. You can see them everywhere with both feet in the grave. Yeah, some people, the foot is in the grave. The feet is in the grave, yet hanging on to power. Some of them, yeah, come on, let's not go there. Just use your imagination and look and you'll see them. As I say, them done dead already, but them can't move on. Because of what? They're hanging on to power, fame, and wanting to control and rule other people's lives. Because them, anyway, we condemn here. The first one, question one. What happened on this side of reality, aka on this side of life after we die? I can answer with a great degree of knowledge and confidence. That first one, what happened on this side when we die? Or rather, yes, after we die. I can answer that with a great deal of knowledge and confidence. Now, listen carefully now. If the past, and here I address that, if the past is in any way or anywise indicative of both the present and the future, then life here on this side of reality will no doubt continue the same way as it has been carrying on since time immemorial. The world, as we think we know it, will continue to turn. It will be fun, slavery, play, politics, religion, business, and deception, etc., etc. As usual, it will continue. Our lifeless physical body, aka our remains, will be disposed of as promptly and possible. It will be disposed of as promptly as possible, and by any and every means necessary, be it ash to ash or dust to dust. Our other remains, meaning whatever we leave behind, including our most prized and most cherished possessions. Example, our children, our wives, our girlfriends, our spouses, our lovers, etc., etc. They will become the properties and the possessions of others. Our beloved sweetheart, especially if they are young, beautiful, sexually attractive, will be in the possessive arms of others. Who knows? Maybe in the possessive arms of some of our best friends. Before you know it, someone else will be asking that very passionate, erotic, and sensational question, whose is it? And I can assure you that your name won't be the answer. Our homes, cars, real estate, properties, jobs, businesses, bank accounts, and all that is of value that we may have collected and accumulated during our short stay here will be taken and become the possessions of others. Some will be fought over, some will be claimed by the government, especially for due or unpaid taxes. Some will be distributed among our families, friends, and among our foes alike. And within a very short period of time, even our memory and the very mention of our names will not only fade, but it will be permanently erased from the minds of even those we once cared for. I just saw, as the saying goes, I just saw the thing said. That's why I should not become attached to anything here. And that is why, and that will be the state of affairs when we drop out. As we say, back to the yard. Now, question number 2. What happened on the other side of reality? Wherever that is. Wherever you may conceive that or believe that to be. when we die? What happened then? What happened there when we die or when we transition and get there? Well, from my perspective, I, the Mystic Philosopher's perspective, we don't know. And maybe we can't really know and know that we know what happened or what is happening on the other side of reality. However, using our senses and imagination, we can or we may be able to think of many possibilities or of many possible scenarios. But what we know is that we may know or we may find out for sure if and when we get there. The truth is that we may all have to die to get that answer. And we are all dying to get that answer. Earlier, I told you that fools will spend most of their time, aka most of their life, making plans for life on this side of reality. Some will even tell you that to think of death or to speak about death is to think and speak negatively and unproductively. And that one should only speak of life, aka one should only speak of living here and plan for living here and now. However, those that are wise will always think of, speak of, and even plan for that which is called death. The wise do. Or, to be even more specific, plan for life behind the door. Think about it. So, here is the question that some of you might be asking. Mystic Philosopher, how does one plan for life after death, aka life behind the door, if one don't know what is behind the door? And my short answer to that question is this. It is by the life he or she lives here on this side of reality, aka on this side of the door. In preparation for life after death, aka life behind the door, or life behind the veil, the wise, in as much as he or she can, will live and conduct his or her life governed by principles of fairness, honesty, and justice. The wise will speak truth to the power that is but cannot be, without fear or favor. The wise will speak up against all forms of injustice and will stand up for justice for all. The wise will always take a firm stance for righteousness, aka for right action. For honesty, the wise will always take a stance for honesty, for integrity, for morality, and above all, for his or her natural, native, earthly humanity. For example, contrary to fools, the wise will not use isms or schisms, be it socialism, capitalism, communism, colonialism, racism, fascism, you name all the ism, to gather. The wise will not use it to gather and hoard material riches and material wealth and possessions, or by robbing others, or by enslaving or oppressing the poor and helpless, or those that are less fortunate. Nor will the wise deceive or deny others of their basic human rights, let alone rob them of their humanity. The wise will not use his or her status, power, and authority to inflict undue burdens, undue pain, undue suffering on others, or nor will he or she take pleasure in watching the suffering and demise of innocent, defenseless, and helpless people, etc. And why? It is because the wise know, understand, and understand that there is a source called justice, and that as above, so below. He or she knows that he or she reaps what he or she sows. The wise know, understand, and understand that he or she is not only here on this planet to stay, and nor can he or she stay. The wise know that he or she is not on this planet to stay, and nor can he or she stay, and thus that it is not wise to try and hold on to things here on this side of reality. The wise knows that each day that he or she lives is a day less that he or she has to live, and that it is a day that is much closer to his or her day of departure from here. He or she knows that regardless of how long one lives, that one will be dead much longer. So please stay tuned for more of 1,000+ things my mama and grandma used to say. In the meantime and between time, be more and more and much, much more. And definitely not less, aka bless. For I am the Mystic Philosopher. Ashe, 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 I say.